Hey guys, what's going on? It is Spherical here. Today we are back with Monogatari, second season episode. It's in the title. Last time on, we Darkness. What is up with that? Shinobu might know. She's gonna, I guess, dive into a story from 400 years ago where she, kind of created or converted her first apprentice, which again is a story we already heard, but it was just kind of a brief summary she gave, and then that was that. But I feel like maybe we're gonna go a little bit deeper now into that story, and yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how this goes, and I'm also ready to start. So let's start. All right, so this was a very interesting episode to say the least. So the entire episode was basically Shinobu telling her story of basically her first minion and what happened 400 years ago in her first trip to Japan, where, to summarize basically, because again, this was literally 20 some minutes worth of just storytelling, so there's a lot of stuff that we went through, but to summarize basically, she went to Japan through some coincidental circumstances. She became a god basically of this land, because she made it rain and yada yada. But she became a goddess or a god, whatever, for I think it was about a year, she said. She was praised as one at least, but of course, being a vampire, she didn't really get that didn't really work out. So eventually, what ended up happening was this darkness, or whatever it is, we don't really see. This is still a big unknown, but it basically swallowed up or just basically deleted anybody who was worshiping her. Not even just worshiping her, but as she said, anybody who even knew of her. They were just gone completely. Now, my question is, why the fuck did that happen? Is it, I mean, she said, I don't know, she said it was a result of her, staying there and energy building up, or yada yada, all the fun energy stuff happening. But why did it happen specifically to those people? Was it something to do with maybe the fact that she was playing a role that she wasn't meant to play, and all the people who were caught, what happened? What happened? Why did it happen? Not what happened, why did it happen? But anyways, when her and the original apparition killer, which is going a little bit back, she had met him, they went back and found out that this was all the case, or Shinobu knew beforehand, or Kiss Shot, she knew beforehand, but she went back with him afterwards, and they're like, oh no, everybody's gone. And then the darkness appeared and swallowed up mostly everything from the original apparition killer. He was left with just his wrist and his hand, where she escaped with that, and then turned him and reincarnated him into a vampire, where I guess he was just unstable and wasn't really, he couldn't really come to terms with what was happening, and he obviously kind of turned on Shinobu, and he killed himself. And that's pretty much it. It honestly, for 20 plus minutes of storytelling, it was actually not too hard to digest everything. But again, there's still the question of the darkness itself and the vanishing of all the people. Why did that happen? And I mean, regardless, I love the story. I mean, again, it was just really interesting to listen to, and it really, once again, added a lot to Shinobu as a character. The fact that this entire story, she said multiple times, she was alone, and she didn't want to be alone. She felt kind of isolated and afraid of being alone. And when you're living for hundreds of years, that happens. I mean, damn. Yeah, I mean, it sucks for her, and I don't know. I'm just thinking long term in this series. We haven't had a serious death in this show yet at all, and I'm not sure if there will be. But I will say that I feel like if anything major like that is going to happen to any character, it's going to be Shinobu. Because I feel like at the end of the day, and we already know this through Kizumonogatari, she wants to die. She does not want to be alive. So I mean, I don't know. I'll be surprised if this series ends off with Shinobu surviving, or maybe somehow she can be turned back into a human or something to live out the rest of her life normally with everybody else. I don't know, but just especially after hearing this story, I would not be happy with this series ending off with Shinobu just still living eternally. That would just be depressing as fuck. So that's kind of the story that was told. Let's talk about how the story was told, because this was a really, really interesting episode in the sense that it was kind of told like a visual a story in a way. Like it was, I don't know. I feel like more times than not, exposition episodes like this one are really bad. Like if you need to have a character explain everything through words, then you're probably not telling your story right most of the time, because your story should be told through actions, through experiences, through things happening, right? So when you have an episode where a character just spends the entire 20 minutes explaining things to the viewer because the story couldn't be told any other way, that's usually not good at all. In this case, though, I love that they did it this way, because hearing the story from Shinobu's point of view gave us insight onto the way she was thinking the entire time, and it was told in a really, really good way. I love the art, some awesome shots of Shinobu, or of Kiss Shot, I guess. I keep calling her Shinobu, but some awesome shots of Kiss Shot, like just cool art pieces littered throughout the episode. Yeah, I feel like I just really like the storytelling aspect of this episode. I think it was really, really cool. I think this was an example of a well done, exposition episode where the character just explains things. Again, could it have been a little bit shorter? Probably, because like I said, it was a little bit like long in terms of the explanation. But I think that is because, again, more so than just describing the facts, Shinobu was describing what these events meant to her at the time, which was cool to see. And again, it just added a lot to her character. So at this point, we still don't know what the darkness is. We know what it did to her in the past, but we don't know what it is or why it's here now. That question has not been answered in the slightest. Again, the only thing that we know is that when it came the first time, it came as a result of people worshiping Shinobu as a god and her staying there in that position for a year. Is that the reason why it showed up? Is it just a coincidence that it happened to happen at that time? We don't know. I'm trying to find the link between why it would show up then and why it's showing up now. You know what I mean? And we can be like, I guess it wasn't directly stated, but we can be pretty certain that the darkness that swallowed up Kiss Shot and the original apparition, or the original apparition killer, and the darkness that we saw just last episode, I'm guessing that is the same thing that swallowed up all of the people, right? Unless it's a completely different thing, but I'm pretty sure it's the same darkness. I don't know. Really, really, really interesting episode. I love the story itself. I love the way the story was told. And I feel like this episode really it's making me really curious as to how Shinobu's character is going to be treated in the future in terms of what her future is going to be. So yeah. But anyways, I think that's pretty much it for today. So as always, early access, full length, that's down at patreon.com/SphericalFilms. And with that out of the way, I do thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys all on Monday with episode number 19 of Monogatari Series Part 2, or Season 2. Until then, peace out.